it.
I've been so fascinated by what has turned out to be Women's Week in Space. Could not have seen this coming. Truly could not have seen this coming. Okay, so basically, just to bring you up to speed in case you are just like living your life or whatever. There was a Blue Origin, they went up. I don't know what to call it. Because some people get offended when you call it a trip, but then other people get offended when you call it a mission. So it was a flight. It was a flight to space. So on this flight to space, on this Blue Origin flight to space, you had Carrie Ann Flynn, who's a film producer. You had Lauren Sanchez, who is Bezos' fiance. You had Aisha Bowe. I think that's how you pronounce her name. And she's an actual like aerospace engineer. And then you had Amanda Wynn, who is a bioastronautics researcher, which when I saw the words together, I was like, every once in a while you'll see somebody who has a job or a field of study that makes you feel dumber than is fair. Do you have it? Because you'll just be living your life and then they'll be like, I'm a bioastronautics researcher. And it's like, is that Iron Man? What do you... I don't know. She went to Harvard, so you had Carrie Ann Flynn, you had Lauren Sanchez, you had Aisha Bowe, you had Amanda Wynn, you also had Gayle King, and then you had Katy Perry. You had this set of individuals come together to go up in space. So here's what happened. Basically, they went on this Blue Origin flight. Now, Blue Origin is owned by Bezos, and it is like space tourism, pretty much, where they will send you up there, you'll fly up there, and you'll look around, and then they drop you. But it's like completely safe. And there was a bell. I don't know what the point of the bell was, but there was a bell that they rang before they got in. And ringing the bell was how you could tell that Gayle King didn't really want to go at first. Like that, like... That was tough. In case you didn't see it, I think Aisha had just rung the bell. She was all happy. She was like, yeah, you know. Gets into the little craft, and then Gayle's walking up behind her, and she goes, I've only seen that face one other time, and it was when my mom was trying to teach me how to drive. I love my mom, and I know my mom loves me, and I know that my mom, but she believes in me sometimes too much, you know? Like, my mom would say the stuff that parents are, like, quote unquote supposed to say when you're a little kid. You can do anything you put your mind to. Ooh, you know, you may not get it now, but if you work harder, you're smart enough to figure it out. All of the positive affirmations you're supposed to give a kid to get them to accomplish something down the line, something difficult, right? Something that may seem nearly impossible. And I really believed my mom when she told me these things. When my mom told me, oh, look, you may not be the fastest, the strongest, you may not be able to grasp something right away, but if you put your mind to it, if you put your mind to it and you read that sentence over and over and over again, eventually you'll get it. And then if you keep doing that with the whole book, you'll understand it. You know, it's just, my mom was, always imparting on me that enough attention and hard work could get you to the places that talent got other people easily, you know? And these are important lessons. I look back at the things that my mom said, and not only are they true, but I wish more people heard them, because sometimes when you just pump somebody up too much initially, you give them a false belief that they'll just get it or it'll just come to them, and then when it doesn't, they're more likely to give up, right? Whereas if they're told off top, you're not that good at this, they'll know that there's something to work towards, and that the thing is possible, that everyone who ever accomplished anything wasn't already good at it. It took work, it took perseverance and everything. And I believed my mom when she told me all these things until it was time for her to teach me to drive. Because when we got in the car, my mom was making a face that didn't exactly say, you can do anything you put your mind to. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, like if I could do anything I put my mind to, I'm putting my mind to driving, and then you get in the car with me, you sit in the passenger seat, and you going. I'm starting to think that there's more to this whole thing, you know. And so Gail walked up. They all get in the craft and they all pop off. They all get in the... It was shaped weird. But I'm not an astronaut. I'm not a physicist, I'm not a scientist, so I will be using the wrong terminology a lot. Be patient with me. But this rocket craft, this, it wasn't because a ship feels substantial. You know what I mean? Like the Death Star feel like a ship. This feel like the tip of a rocket. Feel like they got in the tip of the rocket. And so they in the tip, and they leave, right? And so they but up, you know what I mean? Like they driving but up, right? And so they shoot right up into the sky, and they're gone, right? And I thought, when I heard about it initially, I thought, oh wow, they're gonna be gone. I didn't know anything about Blue Origin. I didn't know anything about the flight. So I thought they'd be gone for maybe, who knows, like a week or something. Like I thought it was gonna be. I was like, man, Gail gonna miss some, you know, Gail King's on the morning news. She gonna miss a couple of days. You know? Like Katy Perry's got a whole tour that she's starting on, like. And I'm sure that, you know, Aisha, like I'm sure the people with like jobs I can't pronounce also have somewhere to be. So I'm like, they're gonna be gone for like a week, and then they came back almost immediately. It was 11 minutes. I didn't know it was gonna be 11 minutes. And honestly, 11 minutes, because here's the thing. The whole thing is a very cool sounding thing, and I've never done anything like it in my life. So I'm not diminishing what it must be like to go up that high. I'm just saying I've been on runways for an hour, and I feel like for what it was, they should have got some more time up there. That's just me. I'm not. Do you see what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, if you go ahead and you do all this stuff to go up there, like don't make it a high five. Like let me be up there for a while, and then they come down, and it looked like they landed hard. Now I've both heard from friends, and then I read a whole thing about how there's this thrust that they use with the landing where it basically goes off one time to sort of soften the blow a little bit on the way down, and then it goes off one more time to make sure that you don't slam into the ground. That being said, enough dirt did move that I thought they slammed into the ground pretty hard. I thought they were all going to be flat when they opened the door. When I saw that, I was like genuinely worried. I was like, that look, ooh, like it made me by myself sitting in my apartment go, ooh. And it doesn't help that the audio also doesn't sound great. I don't know if you've heard the audio of them coming down, but they're up there in space and they're floating and everything. And then when it's time to come down, all you hear is, like, it's the most garbage, like, It made it sound like they were hurting them in there. Like, like, no, listen to it for real. It sounds insane. And don't get me wrong, if it had been me in there, I can confidently say, if it had been me in there with them, you wouldn't have heard anything. You wouldn't have heard anything because I would have already passed out a hell of a long time ago. I would have passed out so fast. As soon as I saw Earth coming back fast, I would have been like, nope, thank you. You wouldn't have caught me screaming because I would have been unconscious. There's no way. I wouldn't be up here. At most, you would have got a... Like, that's all I'm hitting you with. No, it was... That was crazy. That was crazy audio. It honestly felt like, okay, because it did low-key feel like what happened in the landing was like somehow everything Gail was worried about going up. You know what I mean? Because this is also what happened. The only other time, I know I was talking about my mom teaching me to drive and everything, but I think the other thing that makes you make a face like that, like ring the bell, and then walk towards the flight crap ship. I think the other thing that can do it is like a bad pep talk. There are good pep talks. There are pep talks that like really bring it out of you. The thing that the person saw in you that was giving you the pep talk, it comes out through their inspiring words, right? You see it a lot in football movies. They're like, Coach, we can't. Coach, we can't get another touchdown. They big. They big and we not as big. Coach, we can't do it. All right? They're big and they're pushing this way and we're trying to go that way. Coach, it's impossible. We cannot get another touchdown. I know all we need is another touchdown to win the big game and not feel like losers, but it'll never happen. And then the coach is like, you listen here. You listen to me. Because I'm the only one with a discernible accent in the film. You can tell me all day what you can't do. But even when you say it, even when you say you can't do it, you know what's in there? It's can. Keep saying that you can't do it. Keep saying that you can't do it. Every time you say you can't do it, you're saying you can do it, but you're adding extra. You don't need the extra. You can do it. You can do it if you just want it bad enough. How bad do you want it? How bad do you not want to be a loser? This team, they beat you every year. That's why we're doing the film. Every year, they beat you. We covered it. And we even covered in the foreshadowing that one of you is going to have a lifetime injury. But every year, they beat you in this game that doesn't really mean anything. But you put your bodies on the line to lose out of fear. You don't have to be afraid anymore. You got to put your bodies on the line one more time. This is your very best I want from you, because this is it. You're seniors. This is all you have. Some of you are barely going to graduate. And none of you are making it to the NFL. So unless you want the last game that you ever played in your entire life to be a loss, you'll go out there and you'll put your joints, your tendons, your cerebellum. You'll put your knees, your ankles, your Achilles, your MCLs, your ACLs, your finger joints. You'll put it all on the line, all for the sake of that American pigskin to get to the other side. Because this is war. This is exactly like war, except you're not really fighting for anything. And when you win, when you make it to the other side, when you get that touchdown and you're standing there and they topple over the field goal post, which is going to cost thousands of dollars, and everyone runs on the field to try to lift you up, and they hurt their backs because they're old. But you're all this town has, because industry left decades ago. And so they'll try to lift your oversized bodies on their shoulders. But it won't work, because everyone in this town somehow has sciatica. So it's not gonna be pretty. But when they lift you up, and you, quarterback, when your girlfriend tells you she's been keeping it from you the entire season, but she's pregnant, you'll be like, wow, at least my son's gonna have a winner as a father. And you, running back, when you're holding your leg hoping it's not that bad, it is that bad, by the way. Hoping it's not that bad. You're dragging it, trying to celebrate with everybody because you're behind, because everyone sort of ran to where the touchdown was and you were hurt, so you couldn't get there, and then everyone trampled you, but you got up, which is important. When you're all lifting your helmets, like they're the helmets of warriors. I want you to think about this speech. I want you to give yourself this speech every day that you go to a job that you hate. Because this is how you're going to get through life. This is an all-American pep talk. Now go out there and win. Or don't and hate yourself for the rest of your life. But go out there and do it, right? I felt like Gail got a way worse pep talk than that. I feel like Gail's pep talk was just like, girl, why are you so nervous? You ain't gonna die. You know how hard it is to die? You're not gonna die. Just because you're going miles above the earth and then they shoot you in there with fire, you're not gonna die. It's just, you know what I mean? It's gonna be a little explosion under you, and then that's gonna shoot you up in the air, and then you'll be in space. You'll be floating. And I'm sure they got it under control. I'm sure you're not gonna float forever and then never come back. I don't even think they would let that happen, all right? And then when you come down, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. I'm sure you won't be like, oh! Like, I'm sure it's gonna be fine. When you head back down, I bet you it's gonna be so smooth. You're gonna be floating down in a little parachute they do, and then I guarantee it. And then when you fall, you know, when the little craft hits the ground, you won't break your back at all. You know what I mean? That's already been done. We talking research in the 60s and 70s where people came back down and broke their whole back. That's not you, okay? That's not gonna be you at all right? All you gotta do is just trust the experts that have already built this thing. Trust the people that trained you and went through the process of what's gonna happen. And trust that, you know, at the end of the day, God is in control. So if it's your time to go, it's your time to go anyway. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you do all the math you want, but if the Lord wants you, he'll take you. And that's, you know what I mean? That's not, you know, we not on our time, we on God's time. And so if God wants you to die right now, you be dead. You know what I mean? It's like, why are you worried? Why are you worried? Just, you know. You made everything right with everybody before you went, right? Like, it's not like you even need to. I'm just saying, like, when they close the door, just ask for forgiveness. And then let what will be, you know? Que sera, serat. No, she just looked like she had one of those rough pep talks that had her like, okay. And they went in there. And when they shot up, they had about, I had to read this part, I wasn't sure, but they had about 4 minutes of like weightlessness, which I thought was zero gravity. It turns out it wasn't actually zero gravity. They were falling, but slowly, because they went up to the, I'm gonna mispronounce it, but they went to like the Kármán line, and the Kármán line was discovered by this dude named Kármán, named after himself. That's what dudes tend to do. It's my thing. So just so you don't forget who brought you here. But yeah, Kármán was he was German, and you know I had the absolute pleasure and the honor of going to the Jet Propulsion Lab today and getting a tour. Well, don't clap for me. I didn't know anything before I got there. But I got a tour, and they they were explaining that Kármán was German, but he came over before. He wasn't a Nazi. He came over before everything really popped off in Germany, and then he actually helped develop rockets to shoot at the Nazis. He was kind of the most opposite of a Nazi you could be. He was kind of like, hey, get him, right? Which did make it awkward when we brought those Nazi scientists here. That's gonna be a quiet day in the lunchroom. Woo! You just eat your sandwich, it's like, oh, hello, Hans. I see you made it out. Beautiful weather. Yeah, basically, they went up to the Kármán line, and then when you go past the Kármán line, that's like when you're like in space. Now, admittedly, I didn't know any of this, so I thought it was all space. I thought as soon as you left, it was space. I'm not saying I've ever been on a flight and I was like, ugh, space. I'm saying like they were high enough that they saw the moon and they saw like the corners of the earth that just looked cloudy, and I was like, that looked like space to me. It's very spacey. And what I loved about them floating, so a lot of people gave them like a ton of flack as if they were just taking selfies the whole time. It's not they were taking selfies, there's just cameras in the thing. They were looking at the cameras, but the cameras are above the window. So everybody's like, why are you looking at the camera? Look out the window. It's like, no, they were looking at both. They can see the window because the camera's right above it. And so they were looking in the camera some of the time, but you can see where everybody's looking out the window too. And they were weightless, so they were all excited. They're like, oh, look. And they were like, one of my favorite things was at every stage, there's just so many there's so many shots of Katy Perry floating in front of the camera that were genuinely very fun. Like someone will just be in the middle of like, and then Katy Perry. Man, yeah. That was great. That was dope. Like, and she just had stuff too. There was one point she had this daisy, and I was like, all right, yeah, I guess. She had like her tour set list there. I was like, y'all let Katie bring anything she want on the flight. That's wild. Man. I was half expecting Katie to bring a picture of Katie up there. That was dope. And they were having fun up there, you know. It was nice to see people, you know, have fun. Then they came down and everybody was so mad. Everybody was so mad at them. Everybody treated those 6 women like they were another reboot of an all-female Ghostbusters. Everybody. People were so mad at them. They landed and people were like, why'd you go in space? Why were you floating, Katie? Like, geez, sorry. Man. And admittedly, they got out, and I did see Katie's interview. Right when she got out of the craft, and look. All right. I'm gonna do my best. Okay. I know when somebody is like annoying or odd online and you say one thing, you're one person that says one thing, it's not, in your mind, that big of a deal because you're one person saying one thing. You might not even be saying anything that nasty. You're one person saying one thing. But if 10 million people all say something, we are now piling on one person who didn't do anything but be, I don't know, I guess a little tone deaf or annoying or whatever, right? So quickly, what could have been like a couple people being like, that's not it, turned into the entire internet being like, oh, send her back. That's me quoting Wendy's. You know Wendy's, the sandwich company. You know Wendy's of baked potato fame? Wendy's was like, send her back. And then even, you know, Katie's team shot back at Wendy's like, how dare you wish death on Katy Perry? It's like, all right, both of y'all need to chill because she didn't die the first time. They said send her back. I don't think anybody's wishing death on. All right. And then, you know, she had her interview, and I've been the person who has tried to help the person who didn't hear what they sound. Okay, a good example is there was a foreign exchange student one time at my school, and whenever people transfer, especially like the year's already started and they transferred, right? That is an easy target for other kids. That's a kid that's not, I'm not saying they have to get bullied, but are potentially gonna get bullied because now anyone who is at the bottom of like the high school hierarchy, there's a new person. We don't know anything about this person, so unless they prove that they're very, very cool, very, very quickly, they can be at the bottom. And because no one wants to be at the bottom, the people that were at the bottom also pile on this person, right? And so I remember just being in conversation with people like, hey, chill, leave them alone. I know they're a little odd. I look back, I was bullied. I was bullied when I was a kid. And now as an adult, I look back and I'm like, bullying is wrong, but I do see where a couple of them were coming from at certain points where I was doing the most. Like there were a couple times I did open myself up to some scrutiny. Yeah, I mean, like there are a couple of days that I could have not been humming some musical theater number so loud in the boys' locker room. Like I could have not invited some of that in. I know I was just being myself and everybody should be allowed to be themselves, but there's also common sense.
And I don't know. Yeah, I was definitely in that situation one time as a kid. And I was like, hey, look, I know that they're different, but they're different. Just chill, right? And then one time they took out all the crystals, put them on the desk. Class hadn't started yet. All the crystals on the desk. Everybody, look, what you doing? It's like, oh, these are my crystals. And then I was like, all right, y'all, be cool. Be cool. And then they grabbed two of the crystals and they're like, brrr. I'm like, not, see, you not helping me help you. You see you not helping me help you right now. Who else in the class? Who else doing it? I'm not saying don't be an individual. I'm just saying you know these aren't good people around us right now. I don't want anybody to be just bullies for being themselves, but yeah, she comes out and they ask her, some questions. And admittedly, this is the other thing people gotta keep in mind, that some of the questions they asked her were a setup because that person interviewing her was not like a journalist. I'm pretty sure they worked at Blue Origin. Because the first thing they say to her is like, you're officially an astronaut. She didn't say that. They said that to her. And she was like, thank you. And then they were like, tell me how you feel. And she was like, I feel so connected to love. Y'all be cool. See what I'm saying? You see, this is how it happens. I know. I heard it too. I know. But y'all be cool. Because Katy Perry was doing a lot. In fact, Gayle King, they asked Gayle King. They were like, hey, what was it like? And then she was like, oh, we get up there and Katy actually sang. When we were up there, she sang What a Wonderful World. We were up there. And to me, just to me, that sounds like a little too much. We only gonna be up here for like 5 minutes. I don't know if I wanna be floating, listening to what you've elected to sing to us. It wasn't like they were floating like, Katy, now! Like that wasn't... I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm not saying anyone didn't enjoy it either. All I'm saying is that that's what Gayle King said, and when she said it, I had hoped. This is what I genuinely want from the bottom of my heart, is for Katy Perry to have sang What a Wonderful World like Louis Armstrong. That would have been fire. I'm not gonna lie. That's a Katy I can get behind. If Katy was, I see it in the rain. Floating? If Katy Perry had been floating, singing what a
I think to myself,
be amazing. Oh. That would have been incredible. Look, that's the thing that I don't know how much they paid to take that flight. I would pay that much money to see Katy Perry do that, floating. That'd be amazing. But you just, in your heart, you kind of know that's not what she did. You know what I mean? You know she did it in the most like theater kid way possible. You know what I mean? They in space, they float, and she was like that. Go ahead and plug up that one ear. Try to find the note somewhere. And you floating too, so it's extra hard to find. People were so mad. I didn't even know, I don't admittedly know much about space at all. I don't at all. That's the wildest thing, is that I shouldn't even tell you this, but basically, okay. So I went to the Jet Propulsion Lab, and they showed us this these arrows that are basically tracking pretty much like all the things that are known, right? So pointing at Mars, pointing at certain like planets, moons, everything, and the arrows will randomly change based on what they're pointing at. And admittedly, this is how dumb I am, right? I was confused when everything wasn't just pointing up. I'm not a flat earther. But I can see how people get there because in my head, it said Mars and then it went left and I was like, Mars ain't left. This thing broken. Mars ain't left at all. That's crazy. Mars supposed to be up. I'm getting an attitude in my head. I'm like, Mars supposed to be up. What you mean Venus down? You ever been, that's where China is. People don't have any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's wild. They just It went to point at Saturn and it was pointed at me. I was like, this thing broke, dog. I'm telling you. No, I don't know much about space, and there were so many people that were like, they faked the whole thing. They didn't even go up. They never went up at all. The whole launch was AI, and then when they landed, that was a tape from a different time, because those people definitely died. And it's like, no, they don't need to fake it. They don't. I'm not trying to come out in support of like Blue Origin specifically, but it's like they don't need to fake it. This is like the 11th one that they did. They did like 10 of these already, and no one cared. Like, they didn't do the whole press run like they did for this one, so they just did 9 of them in peace. The first one that they did, I think, was William Shatner was on it, and he was like, I was saying all this space stuff, and it's like, bro, you also... Like, that is the one thing I'll say. That is like the one critique that I have of the internet's response to this, is that it's like, a part of me is like, y'all are mad because it's all women. You know what I mean? When William Shatner got off and he was saying all the space stuff, you were like, oh, William Shatner got to go to space. That's so cool. And it's like, yeah, that is cool. That it's cool for anybody to get to go to space because it's space. It's rare, you know? But you can't let him off the hook for saying like hoity-toity stuff just because he played space. This is my thing. Maybe I'm the only one that feels this way, but I was happy for Gail that she got to go. I know that she's not, you know, like an astronaut. I know she's not trained in this sort of thing, but Gail needs a break. We make Gail interview everybody before their life fall apart. We made Gail interview R. Kelly right before jail. Don't act like you don't remember that. We made Gail sit there. R. Kelly know he going to jail too. You could smell the jail on him. He knew he was going to jail. That's why he was sitting there, didn't know what to do. He was half singing, half crying. Is this working? Sweating, people coming up to blot the sweat off, and you're like, y'all kidding me? Hitting notes while he screams. Gail had to sit there the whole time. Robert. Robert. Are these cameras on? I hope these cameras are. Robert. Gail needed a break. Let her have a break. You know, let her go to space for a second. Because there's not that many differences. Tons of similarities in the people who went up to space and the people that went to Coachella. There's a ton. Both have potentially horrific bathroom experiences. You know what I mean? Like true, imagine. Because first of all, you at Coachella, right? And you just trying to get through your day, see your favorite bands, have experiences with your friends. You're financing this thing. It's gonna take you months to pay off, trying to make the most of it. And so maybe, yeah, you had a chili dog before you came. Now you're standing there, sort of stand dancing, listening to Weezer. Sick riff comes in, and right then you feel it. Not a quiet one. A quiet one is your body telling you, hurry. You ever have one of those quiet ones that like, it's just a moment, and only you know it happened. You're the only person in the world that knows. It reminds me of those moments in a horror movie where a little kid's like, run. So you book it. You go out of whatever badge area you have and everything. You don't care about anything. You're just running, trying to get through. And what do you find? A line. A line to use one of the most blown out porta potties in the history of America. This thing, it's like a little wooden. It's like they're not even supposed to be wooden anymore. This is from Woodstock, 1977. Same thing. You know, maybe try and make the most of life. You get this incredible experience. You get to go to space. You get to go to space with these incredible new women that have come into your life through this experience. You've had your 2 days of training together, getting to know each other, doing this like op-ed together and everything, and you try and enjoy life to the fullest, and so you do. You get ready to go on this space trip. It's gonna be 11 minutes, but they're gonna be an incredible 11 minutes of your life. And so yeah, before you leave home, you have a chili dog. You have a chili dog, and you're walking on, and you ring the bell. You're having a good time. You strap in and everything, and right as you strap in, you're waiting to take off, and you hear. They take off, you feel a couple G's, you're like, no. You get into space. You almost touch the Kármán line. Then you hit the ground. You hit the ground. Plop. Okay. I made it. 11 minutes. I held it together. You pop out of the little pod, trying to calmly look for the nearest bathroom. Everybody clapping. Everybody clapping. Oprah there, the Jenners, everybody clapping. And then somebody runs up. How's it feel to be an astronaut? Can I tell you in 5 minutes? Oh, there's a ton of similarities with Space Trip and Coachella, both cool outfits. You know, people at Coachella usually make theirs, but they have these cool suits made and everything. Both things sponsored by Amazon, sponsored by Bezos. Both things yield really interesting, esoteric captions on Instagram. You know, they ask Katy Perry how she feels, and she goes, "I feel so connected to love." This is the most powerful, spiritual, loving experience I've had, second to the birth of my child, right? And be honest. Tell me that's also not Instagram caption about Coachella. Like that, like if we're being fair, you know? When I watched Katie's interview right out of the pod, I was like, y'all clouded this woman just because the edibles hit. Like, everyone was so mad. They were so mad. And I don't even think they're mad at, like, Katie or any of those women. I don't think they're mad that, like, the thing is, like, tone deaf in nature or whatever. I think they're mad because people are, like, having a hard time living. Do you know what I mean? It's like they are kind of like the easy placeholder right now for how we feel about how the actual world is. No one's really mad at them. If they had gone and come back, you wouldn't have known. That's how little it affects our actual lives. But we're mad because we see it, and we see, like, because the thing with a Blue Origin as well is we don't actually know how much it costs to go up. And we know some people get invited to go up and some people have to pay. But they do a thing, and this is very crafty. This is how the rich stay rich, right? We know that it's like $150K deposit if you want to go. We don't know what the next installments are. And I feel like we don't know what the next installments are so they could charge people different stuff. Because maybe you put down 150 and then you have to pay another 150 to go up. And then you put down 150, but you got to pay 500,000 to go up. And as long as y'all don't talk, it's all good. Because these people come together from all walks of life and all these different places in the world, and they go up. But for a similar flight, for a similar flight to what they did, there was a guy who paid $28 million. All right? He's allowed to be mad. He's allowed to be mad that anybody got to do it for free because 28 million, even if you're a billionaire, 28 million is still a dent. Like, that's wild, 28 million. So I'm just saying, it's wild that thing, we're assuming anyone on that flight had to pay. I can't imagine Bezos making his fiance pay. You know, I don't know if anybody on that flight paid. And I know that the only poor version that we have of what they did is froyo. Because you ever been filling up your cup and you don't have that much of your account, so you gotta fill it with hope. You gotta hope that, like, that's a lot of air. That's a lot of air. Let's just put it on the weight right here. $5.50, thank goodness. One time I was getting froyo and I was by myself, but there was a woman checking out before me, and she had stuffed it, got the cookie dough in there, and she had the M&Ms. She had a couple extra flavors, and it was high. It was like a little pyramid of froyo and everything. And then old boy went to ring her up, and it was $135. And I was like, I know he lifted the scale because I'm looking at $17 easy. And then it was my turn. And I put my little one flavor with 2 poppin' bobas in there. And he rang me up for $13.59. And I was like, so, you got your thumb on it, or what you do? This is crazy. Because I don't think we're that mad at them. I think what's actually happening is that it's very hard to get by right now, and it's hard to escape. And I don't know. Everyone could use a little escapism one way or another, and we're losing access to that because whether you want to go on spring break, and spring break is the most expensive it's been in potentially recorded history. Or you want to just go to Coachella. Dude, Coachella tickets. So I didn't even know this was happening. Apparently there are people that are like financing their Coachella trip in like installments. Like they put Coachella on layaway. And it's not like some people. Apparently it's like 60% of ticket goers are like on a payment plan for Coachella, which is insane. That's wild. That you, in increments, long after, you still paying for Coachella, long after Coachella and stuff. And then you see these people who get a break. They get to go to space for free. And you know they could have paid. You know they could afford to pay it. You get angry. And I think people would be less angry if they just went ahead and whether they did a whole flight or half a flight filled with people who just need a break. You know what I mean? That's all you gotta do. Just get like two of the most tired moms you can find. And you barely have to pitch them. It's like, look, you will be weightless for 5 minutes. They'll be like, put it in my veins. You know, just find like one server who's done like 2 doubles in 2 days. You will go to space and you won't be able to hear anything. Yes, that sounds right. You know, just somebody who's down on their luck, just needs to pick me up. Somebody who life has been incredibly hard for. You just grab them and you tell them, hey, I want to give you a trip to space. It won't be long, but it'll be spectacular. You will see Earth in the way that few people will ever get to in their entire lives. You'll see the beauty of the entirety of the planet, and you'll see how small all these people, all these problems, all these things are in the grand scheme of the universe. And Katy Perry will sing What a Wonderful World like Louis Armstrong to you. It'll be spectacular. Y'all been amazing. Thank you so much. I'm Josh Johnson. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have a fantastic night.
Give it up for Josh Johnson!
I don't know. Yeah, maybe y'all saw, maybe you didn't see. Maybe, I mean, people can only watch so much news, you know? But y'all saw the president at the UN. This is, I didn't see everything as it was happening. I heard about some stuff later, right? So then I got a text message from my friend. They were like, oh, did you see what happened at the UN? I'm like, no, I didn't see what happened at the UN. And they explained to me that, you know, he was getting on escalator and then the escalator stopped. Now, I thought at the time, I thought it was going very differently. I thought the escalator stopped on like a down escalator. That would have been a big deal. Imagine you on escalator. You have belief. You get on a down escalator, you're like, all right, this is gonna take me where I need to go. No need for a seatbelt. If that thing just stops, the momentum, whoa! Now the president's falling down the steps. So I thought that's what happened. Then I watched the video and I saw that he just walked up to the escalator, stepped on the escalator, and the escalator broke. And you saw him stand at the bottom of the escalator like, what? And Melania didn't miss a beat. She just started walking up the escalator. And so there were people that were like, this was sabotage. UN needs to be investigated. Somebody needs to be arrested, right? But then he made it up the escalator / stairs. And he went to speak to the UN. Went to speech for the whole of the UN. He's standing here, UN over there. And as soon as he goes to start, the teleprompter broke. We know the teleprompter broke because he told us. As soon as he walked up, he told us, teleprompter broke. First the escalator, teleprompter broke. Nothing here work. Nothing. No, teleprompter. And it's like, look, if you're delivering a speech and it's been, uploaded to teleprompter, then teleprompter breaks, all right, like, that is something to be annoyed or caught off guard about. But I'm sitting there watching, like, why do you care that the teleprompter, you're not gonna read it, like you're not. Every speech is off the dome. Every speech you can tell every speech he's over here freestyling every time. Why do you even have a speechwriter? You know the president's speechwriter right now gotta be the easiest job in the world. You just over here typing up chapters from Great Expectations, knowing he's not gonna read it. Knowing he's just gonna go, you know what I mean? He goes off of vibes. What do you care that the teleprompter is broke? You weren't gonna look at it. You might have read the first couple sentences and then been like, you know what? I'm gonna speak from the heart. And so the teleprompter broke it. And so he's like, I guess I'll just have to. Which was also wild because the speech was printed out in front of him. But he was like, no, you want me to turn pages? No. And then proceeds to, give this address to the UN, and it depending on who you talk to, depending on whose opinion you're listening to, it did not go fantastic. Because the energy of the speech was like the normal energy. It was like rally energy, like talking to his base or something. But this is the UN. They don't live here. Like some of the stuff they don't care about. Like you talking to the UN. Everyone's here. He's over here like, I inherited a mess and we fixed it, and like years ago we were down in the dumps and now we're the hottest country in the world. He keeps saying we're the hottest country in the world, and I don't know what that means. I feel like even the UN was like, so what? Climate change? What does it mean, the hottest? This is also wild because, like, you talking to other countries right now. Why are you dunking on them right now? And then dude's over here. I ended, like, 7 wars. And it's just funny because, like, everybody he talking about is there. So now some of these countries look at each other across the desk like, I don't know. I didn't even. What did I say?
Nah, it was incredible. And then there was a weird thing. I think it was Brazil. He was talking about the leader of Brazil and how, like, you know, first of all, this dude also tariffing everybody. So then he was talking about how he doesn't do deals with people he doesn't like, but then he had a good handshake with the leader of Brazil, so maybe they could work something out. Even Brazil had to be like, yo, I don't know. I just saw him in the hallway. Out here trying to be cordial. I don't even know if this is good. Was this good?
No, it's phenomenal performance. Truly, I've not seen anything like it.
Just over here. I'm sure if you were at the UN just sitting there, you just sitting there quietly listening, looking over at other countries. You know. There's some countries that had just be chuckling. Like countries that aren't in the mix, you know what I mean? Like if you're not like a key member of BRICS, or you're not, you know what I mean? Like if you're not like in the news in that way, you just come, you enjoy the show. You know? Like I imagine maybe Zimbabwe might have been cracking up. They'd be like, that's your friend. That's your friend. But that wasn't the only incredible performance. That wasn't the only press conference. Because they held a press conference because they found it. They found it. They nailed it down. They found the cause. That's what they said. No one gathered everybody together, got the press conference going on. Looked like it was in the Oval Office. Yeah. And they were going to talk about the causes that they had found, the root cause of autism. This is what they said. And so, you know, they walk in and you had Dr. Oz. Dr. Osmosis himself. You know Dr. Ozymandias. Like, Dr. Oz is standing there. And like, why? How did this happen? If we are just gonna start putting people from TV in real, like, government position, in real medical field, can we at least get somebody from like Grey's Anatomy or something? You know what I mean? Like, if we are already not being serious, can we not be serious better? Who is checking for Dr. Oz besides Oprah? Who is? He's standing there, doesn't even really look that healthy himself. This man's advice so far has been actually insane. They've done interviews with him. He's, you know, spoken to the public. Like, what would you suggest for Americans? The man's out here. If you want to, if you don't, look, if you don't want to be sick, be healthy. I wish I was joking. I would, like, I can barely take credit for that one. I changed like 2 words. So you got Dr. Oz from TV on one side. And then you have
Y'all know who he is. And then you have RFK Jr. on the other side, looking odder than usual. If y'all saw it, you know what I'm talking about. RFK Jr. showed up. I don't know what's happening. Because it wasn't like a tan. Like he looked like a bruised blueberry. Like he looked wild and nobody addressing it. Nobody saying anything. The president over here just trying to not use his peripheral vision. RFK Jr. is white. No, that is a white man. He's white. He's a white guy. But that's the first time I've ever seen a white guy and been like, he is colored. Like that. Yo, my man, what is happening? He just stand there like he's been holding his breath for 26 years. This is very bad. And then, I don't know who told him. I imagine it could have been somebody, higher up, but it could even just been an aide that told the president, okay, you're going to give this press conference, you're going to talk about links to autism, and what you need to do, this is very important, for legal, this is very important for a lot of reasons, what you need to do is say the name of the drug. Then you can go on and say the brand name. But you need to say the name of the drug because the drug is what we're saying is the link, not one particular brand. So there are other like store brands that are this drug. You need to say the drug. Say the drug. You have to say the drug. Okay? Say the drug. And I'm sure he attacked it with that regular, bravado. I'm gonna say it, whatever. Get out of here. Let me work. Let me get in the zone, all right? I got you in my ear. I got him over here being purple. Let me work. It goes up, starts the speech. It's rolling. It's rolling with it. And then he hit a more than 8-letter word. And then the commander-in-chief, leader of the free world, in real time, in front of us, the American public, technically the whole world, because the internet, our leader in front of the nation, at a press conference they called. Our leader in real time sounded it out. I try really hard. No matter who somebody is, no matter the background, no matter the situation, really treat people like equals, not like look at people a certain type of way. We all struggle. We all have our different strengths and weaknesses and everything. But I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it. If you are 80 and you haven't attacked a word before, maybe it's just not a word you ever gonna get. Like if you, it's late. It's late for him to be sounding out new words. Because the word, he could see the word coming up. And sounded it out confidently too, just over here, and it's not like it was in the mic. You couldn't hear it into the mic, but you could tell Dr. Oz was standing there trying to do hard ventriloquism. Just... Dr. Oz was standing there like, just open your mouth, let me do it. Just... Dr. Oz was fighting to just, you could see him. Acetone, acetone, I knew when he looked around, we were cooked. Like I knew it. When that man looked up from the paper, I was like, no, stay on it, stay on it. Stay with it, you almost got it. Acetone. Tylenol, and like that. That is also wild too. Gave us the full, what is it, Porky Pig? Gave us the full Tylenol. And he was hitting those T's, that Tylenol, extra hard. He was getting his payback with those T's. Tylenol, don't take that Tylenol. When y'all see Tylenol. Because it was rough. It was like, you've been in third grade before. You remember when a teacher, I didn't even know this at the time, but it was basically when a teacher had like a hangover, and so then the teacher would just make y'all read the book to each other. At the time, I really thought it was about learning, and now that I'm grown enough to have friends that are teachers, I'm like, no, you had a bender. That's what this is. Don't try to put this off on the students. You know, you seeing double right now. And so it would be, your turn would be coming up. And you would do a thing. Somebody would be reading over here, and you start counting people and counting paragraphs. And then you read ahead a little bit so that when it's your time to read your paragraph, you're reading your paragraph all fast and everything. People can't even retain the information. Then, there'd always be that one kid. There'd be that one kid where it's like, when you get to his paragraph, that's gonna last till the end of class. So you literally count your paragraph till you have to read, and then you count paragraphs and you like, the bell gonna ring here. Sometimes to be a kid, everybody learns differently. We all have different abilities, and you do your best to be as patient as possible. I remember, I had one kid in my class that we would do that, and then his paragraph be coming up. And as soon as his paragraph start, everybody's like, and then he would start and he would be sounding it out and then hit the word and then sounding it out. Everybody learns at a different pace. Sounding it out, hit the word. Sound it out, hit the word. Sometimes he'd even go back, sound it out, hit the word, say the last 3 words together. He's learning. We're all learning. Everybody moves in their own time. But sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I was a kid too. I wasn't always patient. Sometimes he'd be sitting there and be like, and I'd be like, A, it's A, it's A, it's A, it's A. You already hit it. It's A, it's A. There's nothing left to do. It's A, it's A. It is A. You did it. High five. You did it. It's A. It's only A. And then you grow up and you mature and you realize that everybody's good at stuff. People aren't as good at stuff and everything. Because I'll tell you what, I could read. When I was a kid, I could read. Very good at reading. My math wasn't great. So then when it came to math, it was me who was like a little bit behind all the time. Especially when we got to like algebra. Because I could like, factor a little bit. I understood denominators and stuff like that. Like I felt like I was keeping up and everything. But when we hit algebra, all of a sudden the tables were turned. This is why you have to be as patient with people as you want them to be with you. Because I'm sitting there. And for the first time, there's letters. There's letters in the math problem. But I'm sitting over here like, and then he was sitting there like, it's 4, it's 4, it's 4. And so, he's over there. He went ahead and dunked on that acetaminophen and then went ahead and started saying Tylenol, started describing to the people things that were not on the paper in front of him. Which is why you definitely shouldn't be upset when the teleprompter doesn't work. You know is what you're gonna do. This man was just throwing out all types of wild claims. This dude was like, hey, look, the Amish, don't have any autism. And a couple times in this press conference, he would say something, then turn to somebody and be like, is that true? My man, no, it's all on the paper. They put it all on the paper. You had RFK Jr. turn from purple to red. Because then he just started going off on like vaccines in general. And just started saying like, look, it's too much. It's too much. And he's not the first person, he's not the only person to be saying that. It's too much at one time. You got those beautiful babies and you shooting them up with 80 shots of liquid. The thing that stuck out to me about the liquid thing is that you could tell he wanted to say juice. You could tell he's like, they put too much juice in them babies. Nobody need all that vaccine juice. No, it was truly wild. And then it was over. I can't imagine what it must have been like to be on the board of Tylenol. If you're on the board of Tylenol watching this press conference, you over here probably on a whole roller coaster of emotions. Like, at first you'd be sweating because they had let it slip several times that this is basically what the topic was going to be and what was going to be said. It had been like, you know, pieced out, little flavor, little sprinkle here and there for the media all the way up until that press conference, right? But then, when they actually said it, I'm sure Tylenol was stressing when they said this is what the press conference was going to be about. This is what they were going to talk about. You work at Tylenol, you sitting there, edge of your seat. And then he goes to say the name of the drug, and you're probably like, this might not be that bad for us, honestly. Like, he almost said a cinnamon. We might be in the clear here. All we gotta do is come out with a label, no cinnamon in our product. We'll be fine. And then he says your brand name. Then he says your brand name over and over again. And now you're like, that's not good. That one came out perfectly. And then he talks about the Amish, and you're like, I guess if people watch the whole thing, they'll be confused enough to not know if they should take it or not. Because my thing is, look, why have such an unforced error? You know what I mean? Go ahead. You already got Caroline Levitt talking to the media all the time. Get her out there to start the thing. Get her to say the name of the drug and then walk off. Then you can go and just go off your vibes and everything. You had two people on either side of you that probably say the name of the drug all the time. Well, don't let him, but let Dr. Oz say it. Let him earn his keep. No, he over here supposed to be a doctor. Got the shortest name I've ever seen. Because I do my best to be up on the news, but I don't always want to talk about, politics and stuff. Sometimes there's stuff that happens that has nothing to do with anything political, and it just warms your heart to see it. You'll see a news story that captivates you, and it doesn't take you into like any sort of polarized position, Like I saw this South Carolina teacher that got arrested for using fart spray on the students as a punishment. Look, I'm not a teacher. I come from like a family of teachers, people that work in education. And like kids have always and will always drive adults insane. It's like part of the bargain that we have. Is part of the truce, It's like y'all won't do a Lord of the Flies. Y'all just be bad in school. And we'll pay the bills. And look, I can't imagine what it's like to teach, especially now. You have kids who genuinely, because of like lockdown and COVID and stuff like that, missed out on little pieces. You have adults now who missed out on like a full college experience. You also have little kids who missed out on having their friends over and, being able to socialize at a very specific point in their life. So everybody's been like knocked off their kilter a little bit by COVID and by lockdown, not being able to just be with each other. That's just, a fact. And because of how school was going in that time, you have people who are really behind because they didn't have that special attention. You had to do school on Zoom with a bunch of other students, and maybe a kid needed help and they couldn't get it immediately, not in the way you can get it when you're present, I can't imagine what it would be like right now to be in school sitting there trying to do my algebra like zzz, 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 zzz. And so then the kids come back to school and, you know, some of them are excited to see their friends. Some of them are still trying to learn how to socialize. Some of them, you know, maybe aren't as effective as others. But kids will be kids. Kids will be loud. They won't listen, all that stuff. And then what do you do if you're a teacher? You got teachers out here fighting for their lives just to try to teach you some English. You know? You see videos of it all the time, teachers going through it because students don't want to listen, all this stuff. This is the person that's just trying to make sure you know how to spell. So one day, if you make it all the way to the White House and you have to address the nation, you won't be like, cinematosis. And so if you're a teacher, you know what I mean? What do? Like my teachers used to yell. Teachers yell. It happens. Hey, stop! And you can tell. There's a certain yell, especially when you got like a male teacher. There's a certain yell that you can tell you broke him because his voice cracked. You know what I mean? Like, if he's like, hey, hey, y'all, chill out, right? And he's had enough of it, and maybe you're the first period of the day. You know what I mean? Y'all being a little loud. Hey, listen up, right? Something happened at about 5th period and on. Where if you really got him at his wits' end, he'd be like, hey! Can't even help you people. That's how you can tell. That's how you can tell when a teacher really at the edge, when they just start talking to the students like they are society. Like it's like you do your best, you know. You go to a state school to save money because you know you're not going to make it here, you know. You got a passion for Spanish, so you try to teach it to you knuckleheads. Just truly, like, you know, teacher ready to cry. Over here, you get that third shut up. Sometimes that third shut up doesn't have any bass behind it. It sounds a little bit, shut up! Leaning against the board. I don't know what to do. And so what do? You know what I mean? Yelling doesn't work. You can't hit them. Somebody came up with a plan. Somebody was like, y'all don't respect me? Okay, y'all don't respect me? You will respect this. Because I've read different reports. Some reports say he was like doing a prank or whatever. Some reports say he was like mad about whatever. But I'm telling you, he could have done it for any amount of reasons. Maybe this dude didn't take his job seriously. Maybe, you know, he was out here just trying to prank for fun. He's somehow like a teacher's assistant or whatever, and still hadn't like grown up. So then he's over here. Ooh, look at you, stinky, ooh. Ooh, stink butt over here, ooh. Maybe. But maybe he had had enough. You can only take so many spitballs in the back of the neck before you snap. Maybe this dude came in one day and was like, all right, look, I hate this, come to this, I really do. But please believe me, if you talk all the time or you never talked before, anybody can get it, all right? I'm not gonna lose my voice this week because y'all don't wanna learn. Anybody can get it. Anybody. I'm gonna put it right here. And I'm begging y'all not to test me. As soon as somebody's talking to their friend, he's like, what? He must have been brandishing it. He must have been wielding it because apparently, like, from what I read, like 100 parents complained or something. This dude got arrested, and then I think they said like 2 students went to the hospital or something like that. And I'm sure you over there in interrogation tried to defend yourself. They should have thought about that asthma when they were doing all that talking, all right? How we know it was a spray? What if it was that talking that caused the asthma attack? Over here, mouth moving 100 miles a minute. I'm trying to teach something. Listening is easy to breathe. Because I wonder how much he must have done it. You know what I mean? Was it just off of anything? Just one little noise? Huh? Or did he wait? Was he like writing on the board, letting the chatter sort of build? And then that's the thing. When you're a kid in class, you always think you're good if you're just not as loud as the loudest person. But that noise rises the entire level of the volume, because now if everybody's talking a little bit, somebody's going to get a little bit more confident, get a little louder. Everybody starts talking a little louder. And as long as they're not as loud as the loud one, now everybody's basically screaming just so they can hear themselves because they're all doing so much talking. And next thing you know, he whips around, hey! Y'all gonna learn today. Because even the school said that he did $55,000 worth of damage. How? It must just be in the walls now.